Hello dear lovely student, this is me again, Mr. Ahmed Karim at the private Zhyar and the basic school. So today we have a new subject and it is the last subject in chapter 1. It is section 8, absolute value in equations and inequalities. So first thing we have to know about this subject, it is what is absolute value? What is absolute value? So absolute value is a distance from the origin. It means 0. For example, let's say we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the other side you have -1, -2, and -3. Okay, so absolute value is the distance between the origin, means 0, to the given point. For example, let's say we have the absolute value of -3. When we say the absolute value of -3, it means the distance between -3 and origin point 0. It means the distance between -3, okay, and the origin point that is 0. So it means we are going to count it 1, 2, 3. So the distance between -3 and 0 is 3 units. Okay, 3 units. That's why the absolute value is always positive. Maybe you ask that question, let's say ask your teacher why absolute value is always positive. Because absolute value is distance and distance cannot be 0. For example, you cannot say the distance between Hawler and Kirkuk is, let's say, -80 kilometer, or let's say the length of this board is -2 meter. Okay, it's impossible. Length cannot be negative. That's why absolute value is always positive, because it is distance. This is about the definition of absolute value. Then, if you have an absolute value, let's say equation. Let's talk about absolute value equation. If you have absolute value equation for absolute value equation, there are 3 main cases. We have first case, second one, and the third one. The first one, if the absolute value of x is equal a positive number, okay, it has 2 results, negative and positive. For example, I'm going to write the absolute value of x is equal 4. Because 4 is a positive number, then the result is going to be x is equal 4 or x is equal -4. This is the first case. Second case, if the absolute value is equal to 0, it has one solution. It has one solution. For example, the absolute value of x is equal 0. It means we have only one solution. The last case, the third one, if the absolute value is equal a negative number. A negative number. For example, absolute value of x is equal -5. Be careful. In this case, the equation has no solution. Why? If you remember, we mentioned that the absolute value cannot be negative because it is distance. Okay, then for each cases, we have several examples, then we are going to solve it together, inshallah. First example is the simplest example. It says the absolute value of x is equal 4. So right now we have the simplest form of an absolute value. It is x is equal 4 or x is equal -4. Okay, because we have positive number is equal a positive and also is equal negative. Then B, right now, if you look at example B, the absolute value of x is not alone. We have 2 with it. It's not like the first one. Okay, so what do? We divide both sides by 2. Divided by 2, divided by 2, 2 and 2 cancels. Absolute value of x is equal, 4 divided by 2 is equal 2. Right now, we have absolute value is equal to positive number. That's why x is equal to 2 or x is equal negative 2. Let's go on the examples. Right now we have x plus the absolute value of x plus 1. Absolute value of x plus 1 is equal 4. Again, the absolute value of x is not alone. We have positive 1 with it. As always, we have solved equations. Again, we are going to move positive 1 to the other side. The absolute value of x is equal 4 plus 1 is going to be minus 1. So the absolute value of x is equal 3. Then x is equal 3 or x is equal minus 3. Then we have example D. The absolute value of 2x is equal 4. So right now we can say 2x is equal 4 or 2x is equal negative 4. Maybe some of you think about dividing the equation in the first step by 2, but actually it's not a good idea because it's not applied for all the examples, so it's better to separate them to the negative positive part and also the negative part, then solve them separately. So for the first part, because with the variable x we have 2, so we divided by 2, divided by 2, x is equal 2. Or for the other part, again divided by 2, divided by 2, x is equal negative 2. Then next example, example E, it is the absolute value of x plus 1. The absolute value of x plus 1 is equal 4. Again, maybe some of you think about moving 1, take it out to the other side, but it's not a right way. It's not right. You are going to get a wrong answer, so it's not a good idea. So what shall we do? What shall we do? We are going to apply x we are going to apply the definition of any, let's say, absolute value. So it's going to be x plus 1 or x plus 1 is equal positive 4 is equal negative 4. I'm going to repeat it. Please do not take out 1 to the other side. Let's say you are going to say x is equal 4 minus 1, then the absolute value of x is equal 3, then x is equal 3 or x is equal negative 3. This is not correct. You cannot take out the 1 out of the absolute value. So we are going to write x plus 1 is equal 4 as the definition. X plus 1 is equal negative 4. Then solve them separately. It's going to be, move it to the other side. X is equal 4 plus 1 minus 1. X is equal 3. Then the other part, move it to the other side. X is equal negative 4 plus 1 minus 1. So x is equal negative 5. So the solution is x is equal 3 or x is equal negative 5. Example F, we have 4 times x plus 2 is equal 20. Then how to solve it? Because the 4 is outside the absolute value, we can divide both sides by 4. So divided by 4, 4 and 4 cancels. Then x plus 2 remains in the left side is equal 20 divided by 4 is equal 5. So we have x plus 2 with absolute value is equal 5. Then the next step, x plus 2 is equal 5 or x plus 2 is equal negative 5. So we have addition equation. We can solve it by one step. Move it to the other side. X is equal 5 minus 2. X is equal 3. Or move it to the other side. X is equal negative 5 minus 2. X is equal negative 5 minus 2 is equal negative 7. So the answer is x is equal 3 or x is equal negative 3. So example G, the absolute value of x plus 1 is equal 0. Right now, if you look at the example, we have equal to 0. That's why, if you remember, we said that if the absolute value is equal to 0, it has one solution. So we have only x plus 1 is equal 0, so x is equal negative 1. This is the only solution for the example G, because it's equal to 0. Okay, example H, we have the absolute value of x plus 3 plus 4 is equal 4. Before you, let's say, open the absolute value, we should simplify it. How? Move the positive 4 to the other side, then the absolute value of x plus 3 is going to be 4. Okay, move it to the other side. It is positive 4. It's going to be negative 4. So the answer is x plus 3 is equal 4 minus 4 is 0. Again, we have an absolute value is equal to 0, so it has only one solution. Move it to the other side. X is equal negative 3. This is the only solution for that absolute value, let's say, of that equation. Then we have two more examples. The first one is the absolute value of x plus 1 plus 5 is equal 1. Let's simplify that equation. X plus 1, it's positive 1, move it to the other side. 1, it's positive 5, it's going to be minus 5. Then x plus 1 is equal to negative 4 because the absolute value is equal to negative number. If you remember, we explained in the beginning of the lesson, we said that in the third case, if the absolute value is equal to a negative number, then it has no solution. It has no solution. And also you have that example. It is 5 is equal x plus 2 plus 8. Again, we have to simplify it. We have plus 8, move it to the other side. Write down absolute value of x plus 2 as it is. We have 5 plus 8, it's going to be minus 8. So 5 minus 8 is going to be negative 3, x plus 2. So x plus 2 is equal to a negative number, the absolute value. That's why, again, it has no solution because the absolute value is equal to a negative number. This is all about the absolute value equation. Then, what if we have absolute value inequality? What if we have absolute value inequality? So, we have to know that there are two parts. Either this is the absolute value, that's the absolute value of x, absolute value of x. Either it is greater than, okay, or it is less than. We have only two signs, greater than or less than. If we have greater than with the absolute value, let's say greater than 3, it means we have or inequality. If the absolute value is less than the number, for example 3 again, it means we have and inequality. Okay, it's going to be negative 3 and 3. Again, if we have greater than, if the absolute value is greater than the number, it means we have or inequality. X less than negative 3, x greater than positive 3. Again, I'm going to repeat it. If the absolute value is greater than, it is going to be or inequality. But if the absolute value is less than the number, it's going to be and inequality. Okay, so let's solve some examples, then we will see the differences. So the first example is x, absolute value of x plus 3 is less than 12. First step, try to simplify it, make the absolute value alone. X with absolute value, move it to the other side. 12 minus 3, because it is plus, it's going to be minus. So the absolute value of x is less than 9. 12 minus 3 is 9. So right now, ask yourself, is the absolute value less than 9 or greater than 9? It is less than. And we said that if it's less than, it is going to be, okay, and inequality. Negative, positive, 9. This is and inequality. Again, because the absolute value is less than the number, that's why it makes and inequality. Let's see if you have more examples. 2 absolute value x, 2 times absolute value of x is less than or equal to 6. So divide both sides by 2, because with the absolute value of x, we have 2. Divided by 2, divided by 2. Cancel it. Absolute value of x remains less than or equal to 3. Okay? So is it less than or greater than? Is it less than or greater than? It is less than. That's why it's going to be and inequality. Negative 3 and positive 3. It's quite easy. Then we have another example. This example is let's say in the book that we have it. Let's solve it. It is the absolute value of x plus 3 minus 4.5 less than or equal to 7.5. Okay, let's solve it. So we have x plus 3 and the absolute value. Out of absolute value minus 4.5, we move minus 4.5 to the other side. It's going to be x plus 3 less than or equal 7.5 plus, because it's minus, we write plus 4.5. Then add them up. X plus 3 less than or equal 7.5 plus 4.5, it's going to be 12. So right now we have x plus 3 less than, okay, or equal to 12. Is it less than or greater than? It is less than. That's why it makes an inequality. X plus 3 less than or equal to 12 and negative 12. So we are going to solve it separately. X plus 3 less than 12. Move plus 3 to the other side. So x is less than or equal 12 minus 3. X less than or equal 12 minus 3 is 9. If you solve it for the other side, here we have and x plus 3 greater than or equal negative 12. Negative 12. So move positive 3 to the other side. It's going to be x greater than or equal negative 12 minus 3. So finally, x greater than or equal negative 12 minus 3 is going to be negative 15. So the result is, because we have and the result is we have x less than or equal to 9 and also and greater than or equal to negative 15. This is the solution of the inequality. For the rest of the examples, we have or inequality. How do you know that? Here we have absolute value of x minus 20 is greater than negative 13. First step, try to simplify it. The absolute value of x, move it to the other side. It's going to be negative 13 plus 20. So the absolute value of x is greater than 7. So right now, if you look at the sign, is it greater than or less than? Of course, it is greater than. If you remember, we said that if you have, let's say, greater than, the inequality is going to be or. So x is less than negative 7, always is less than the negative 1, and or x is greater than 7. This is the solution of that inequality. And this one's the graph, less than the negative 7 and greater than positive 7, but there is no equal with it. There is no equal. And next example we have x minus 8 plus 5 is greater than or equal to 11. X minus 8 plus 5 greater than or equal to 11. So first step, try to get rid of the positive 5, move it to the other side. x minus 8 greater than or equal to 11 plus 5 is going to be minus 5. So x minus 8 greater than or equal 11 minus 5, it is 6. So right now we have absolute value, inequality, a number. Is it greater than or less than? Of course it is greater than. That's why it's going to make or inequality. So x minus 8 less than negative 6. Always less than the negative part. X minus 8 greater than 6. So solve them separately. Move it to the other side. X less than negative 6 minus 8 plus 8. So x less than 2. For the other part, move it to the other side. X greater than 6 minus 8 plus 8. So x is greater than 14. So the solution is x is less than 2 or x is greater than or equal to 14. I forgot the equal sign here, so it has equal. And also for this part, it has equal. Okay, so in the final part, or in the last part, we have some nicht many questions. Then we are going to solve it. The first question is, we have 3 times the absolute value of x. And okay, students, so the first question is, what is the solution of 3 times the absolute value of x is equal 18? It's quite easy. We know that we have 3 in front of the, it's multiplied by the absolute value of x. So divided by 3, divided by 3. So 3 and 3 cancels. The absolute value of x is equal 18 divided by 3, 6. We have the simplest form of the inequality. So x is equal 6 or x is equal negative 6. So we have 2 values, 6 and negative 6, so it is D. Then question 2, it says if y, the absolute value of y is equal, is greater than 7, then how to write the inequality? Again, if you remember that, we said that if the absolute value is greater than, it's going to be or inequality. So write down or x less than negative 7 or, sorry, we have y. Y less than negative 7 or y greater than 7. So the answer is B. The answer is B. Then question 3, we have an inequality 2y, 2 times y plus 5 is equal 9. So move 5 to the other side. 2 times absolute value of y, then 9 minus 5 is going to be 4. They divided by 2, divided by 2, the absolute value of y is equal to, so y is equal to or y is equal negative 2. So the correct answer is D, 2 and negative 2. Then for this question, if you divide both sides by a negative 2 and negative 2, then the answer is going to be the absolute value of x plus 4 less than negative 6, and it has no solution. It has no solution because it consists of negative. This is the solution. It has no solution. And the rest of the questions are repeated. So this question, question 7, it says, what is the solution of the equation x plus 8 is equal to 0? Because we have 0, it has only one solution. X plus x plus 8 is equal 0. Move it to the other side. So x is equal negative 8. So it has only one solution, and it is negative 8. Then question 8, it says, which one is the solution of the equation, the absolute value of x is equal negative 6? So it has no solution because we have negative 6. The absolute value is equal negative 6. That's why it has no solution. And there is another type of the question. It says, which equation has no solution? Which equation has no solution? It's quite clear that the equation A has no solution because the absolute value of x is equal negative 5. So it has no solution. So dear students, this is the end of chapter 1. Inshallah, for the next class or the next video, we are going to start with chapter 2. I hope you get benefit from me. So thank you so much.